All right, good evening, everyone. We have a very full agenda, so let's start off. Tuesday, the regular school committee meeting for Tuesday, September 12th, 2023 at 6 p.m. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Carney. Here. Mr. Charbonneau.
Here.
Ms. Doobie. Ms. Fernandez. Ms. Grant.
Here.
Mr. Shalell.
Here, may I ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Perfect. Thank you, everyone. All right. It's now time for the first special reports from student representatives of our three high schools. Can I have the representative from Shea High School?
Can everybody hear me?
Oh, yes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Glenara Santos. I am a senior at Shea High School, and I'm here to tell you our Shea happenings. To begin with, we welcome the new principal to our Raider family. Happy to have Dr. Adams join us, and we hope to make this year a great one. We, along with Tolman, held a graduation ceremony for our August graduates. We are so very proud of them and their accomplishments, and we wish them well. On the third day of school, our seniors set their alarms early and joined together on the front lawn of Shea at 6:12 a.m. for senior sunrise. We are currently planning our senior sunset along with many other events. The iReady assessment in reading and math is here. We have been testing all week, and we are so proud of our Raider family for working hard. On to our sports news. The girls volleyball team defeated but they defeated 3-0 last night. The girls played very well and had fun while doing so. This was their very second game of the season, but they're already making some big improvements from last season. Our Lady Raiders are 2-0. Great job. The Key Club held its first meeting today. We discussed upcoming events and fundraisers, and we hope to hold throughout the school year. On Thursday, August 24th, we held our freshman orientation. We started with a barbecue, and then we had kids from different groups take tours and learn about some of the fantastic opportunities at Shea from our very own students. We had great success, and we'd like to thank the class of 2027, our student volunteers, and our teachers. Class officers have begun meeting and planning for school year events. Many of our old and new clubs have started up as well. Us seniors have also been working on our portfolio presentations and essays, as well as planning to visit many colleges and universities and looking into scholarship opportunities. That is all. Thank you so much.
Jack, can you put down the laptop? Thank you, my friend. Okay, can I have the school representative from Tolman High School?
Sorry.
Don't be.
Hello, my name is Mariah Stefanik. I'm a junior at Tolman High School. So recently we had the Tolman freshman orientation on Thursday, August 24th. Over 250 students and parents were in attendance, with Mr. Green presenting some highlights of our freshman academy. The students received a tour of the entire high school, and they received an informative evening, which ended with a delicious barbecue. Thank you to all the cadets who showed up to lead the tours. On September 9th, dozens of our seniors gathered at 5:30 a.m. at Max Reed Field to celebrate Tolman's first senior sunrise. Tolman's back to school night has been scheduled for next Thursday, September 21st. The event will begin at 5:45 in the auditorium and end at approximately 8 o'clock. All parents and guardians are encouraged to attend to support their child's education. All sports are well underway, including boys and girls cross country, girls tennis, football, boys and girls soccer, and girls volleyball. Recently, Jayla Bossier was recognized by News Channel 10 as Tolman's Student Athlete of the Week, a captain of the girls soccer team. Jayla has been highlighted on Channel 10 News all week. That is all. Thank you for your time.
And now I have a representative from Jacqueline M. Walsh School. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Karina Pixoto, and I am a senior visual arts major at Jacqueline M. Walsh. We are excited to kick off our year. For the first time, our seniors held a senior sunrise at Parasol Field on August 24th, where we ate donuts, wrote letters to our future selves, and gathered as a class to celebrate the start of the year. That same day, we welcomed families and new students to our school at our new student orientation. We loved meeting our ninth graders. At the end of the first week of school, our ninth graders met with some seniors to do a getting to know you activity, as well as enjoy some ice cream. Big thank you to Mark for helping bring this idea to life. We have many events planned for the year, but the ones coming up soon we are extremely excited about. This is including our clubs, which are starting to begin for the year. On September 29th, our 12th grade theater students will be going to GAM, one of our community partners, to see a show and do an actor talkback. Picture Day will be on October 11th, current student open house on October 11th at 6 p.m. Our prospective student open house is on October 25th. And our ultimate JMW student competition is on October 26th. Thank you.
Great job from all the student representatives. The best of luck this school year to all of you and your classmates. All right, special moment in the school for this agenda. We're gonna have a recognition of the teachers of the year. And with that, I'm gonna turn it over to the superintendent. Superintendent, I don't know if you want to do it at the podium. Okay.
Well. Good evening, everyone. This is a joyous occasion. Good evening, everyone. I am so excited to have this opportunity. I feel like I'm talking to can I take this off? Oh, there we go. All right. Now we're in business. So it is with great honor and great pleasure for me to have this opportunity to bring up our superstars for this evening. Teaching is one of the most difficult, challenging, but one of the most rewarding jobs that anyone would have to do. And guess what? Everyone can't do it, especially at this level. So we are recognizing one of our many stars in the district, but they're just a little bit more special, okay? And I'd like to say that I just thank you for giving me the opportunity to even introduce who you are. You are an amazing teacher. You have touched so many lives, more than you ever know. And I just want to say from my heart, thank you for what you do. So the first person, Certificate of Achievement, to Lisa Garcia for being awarded the 2023 Rhode Island Teacher of Language Learners Teacher of the Year. Let's give her a huge round of applause.
Oh, okay. I just want to say thank you. I'm very humbled by this. I mean, I just go in every day and do what all of us do, and I just love doing it. It's a passion of mine, and to do it with my MLL students just makes my day. They make me laugh, they make me cry, they make me smile on a daily basis. So let's just keep doing what we're all doing. Thanks.
Thank you. Photo op.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next, yes, another round of applause. Now, another teacher, another one of our stars, because we have many, like I have to stress, but special. Tonight, let me explain. To get an award such as this, you are doing awesome work. You have been recognized and well-deserving of this certificate. So let's give a round of applause to Ms. Bridget Dufault for being awarded the 2023 Pawtucket School Department District Teacher of the Year.
Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to receive this award. I'm extremely fortunate to have spent my last 22 years educating the children of the city of Pawtucket. I could not do this without the amazing support of my principal, Bridget Bauscher, and James Dyko, and all the phenomenal educators that I work with every day. So thank you to all of you.
Awesome. Thank you.
I've known our two Teacher of the Year recognition for many years, worked alongside them for a long time. And I just want to say that fabulous educators, and it's always been a joy to work with them and be in their classrooms. So thank you again very much.
All right. We're gonna move on to the next item on the agenda, public participation. I don't have anyone that signed up. Does anyone show up late that wants to sign up for public participation? Going once, twice. All right, we're gonna move on. Old business. First item up to business is gonna hand it over to Mr. Charbonneau, but it's the IT audit RFP and approval. And Hirsch, are you? There you go. Jay, did you want to lead off or do you want Hirsch?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Wanted to give everybody an update from our last meeting. I just kind of did a recap there for everybody. Mr. Charbonneau had asked for, and this was starting for when the posting happened, that we had posted the RFP out there. The posting date was on 6/30. And I think I may have forgotten to mention last time, but there was two vendors that Ms. Devine had also submitted the proposal to. Neither of the two vendors had submitted for the proposal. So the closing date was on 7/20. We had a tentative date of 7/27/23, and there was no bidders. So after the last meeting in August of 24th, I did go out some of the questions that was asked about the MPA. And I did determine there was no direct MPA for this type of service from the Rhode Island MPA. So I also investigated, reached out to some vendors out there. I do know of two vendors that once we repost this, that they mentioned that they would be interested in applying for this. Also at the same time, I also reached out to some bid boards, and the bid boards are places that a lot of times when there's big bids out there, they put them on these bid boards because these vendors go out and get notifications of bids. So I did reach out to the RFP schoolwatch.com and spoke with them about putting our RFP out there. So I kind of put together some recommended next steps, but I wanted to present it here to get the approval of the committee. So it would be to repost this RFP this week, posting it in the journal only because of the local companies. You know, some of the smaller companies may not see it on the bigger bid boards because there is a cost to them to apply for that. And post it also on our website, and then also post it on, this would be, I think, the first time that we would be doing this, but on RFPschoolwatch.com. There's no cost for us. I did verify, they said that there's no cost for us. I spoke with their customer service. They would be able to post this as soon as possible, and then also solicit the two vendors that I had also spoke with for informal for them to bid on this. Closing date to be 10/20/23. That was to line up with the next school committee meeting, not the next school committee meeting, but the one in October, because they need time to ask their questions, propose the bid. So a potential bid award on 10/26, depending upon what we get back.
Charbonneau.
So Hirsch, thank you for this, but
You're welcome.
so the initial posting was posted for one day?
No, I didn't do the posting. Melissa did the posting. I think she did it for several days and she posted it. I didn't see the posting in the journal. I don't get the journal either, but she had CC'd myself and I believe Mr. Conley also on that when she had sent out the posting on the journal.
'Cause
I
it
could
said-
check the business office to see if they could look up the,
Well, it says posting date was on 6/30,
correct.
2023.
That was, I'm sorry, that's when she sent it out, so on the journal and the emails. So that went out then, and then she had given them until the 20th to reply to the RFP.
Right, I guess I'm trying to ascertain, how long was it visible in the paper? For a day, for 2 days, for a week? Because we're suggesting as recommended next steps, posted in the journal for 7 days. And if we posted it for 7 days initially and got nobody, then maybe the journal's not the venue to be posting it.
Right, no, I wouldn't just post it on the journal, that's why I also recommended that we also put it on the bid board and also to solicit these other two vendors that would reach. I could find out from the business office, I believe there should be a requisition for that journal bulletin posting. I don't know, I've never posted that on the journal myself.
Have we ever used the Globe? That seems to be the more favorable newspaper these days. Everybody seems to talk, when you're talking to them, they've read something or they're referring to the Globe.
My question, I
We
was
could add
actually
that.
asked, why,
Yeah.
why are we going through the Providence Journal? Not to get into the paper wars, but it is
Yeah.
known that the Globe has stolen the local talent and they are now reporting about the Rhode Island market much more than even the Providence Journal. Providence Journal is just taking national stories
Yeah.
and copy and pasting it.
Yeah.
So
We could
to-
add that, that's
To
not.
Mr.
a-
Charbonneau's point,
Mhm.
will more eyes get on it if the Globe did it?
I think that sometimes, I think the Projo has been more the go-to just because if you're gonna get a local company that's gonna come in and do that work, they're local, to come in and assess and things like that, but in place, I mean, last time we did the journal, we could do the Globe instead. I don't know, I've never done myself a formal, with the Globe. I don't know why Pawtucket's always used the Projo.
Popular,
Exactly, yeah.
but you're paying $156 a day for no results, so look in to see how much it costs for the Globe.
Whatever it takes to move this along, I think we've talked about it long enough.
All right, then we're gonna need a motion, motion of approval for what, Hirsch has recommended for the reposting, but I would like it to be specific. Do we want to post it in the Globe or the Journal or both? And isn't posting almost $300 a day in the Journal Bulletin? Is anyone here to be able to answer that question?
I think it's 156, someone told me it was
A day?
a day. So,
But
but
anyway,
if
so
you
this body.
post, but if you post in the journal for so many days, you also get to post on their website for several days. I think they carry it on their website. So, but I'd like to also include the Boston Globe at least for a few days to see what happens.
Well, it's up to us if that's what you want, but it's gonna cost. There's a cost for it, so. But, I'm gonna need a motion, but I would like it to be, I want it to get specific. Do we go in the Journal, the Globe, or both?
Motion to follow the recommended next steps that first.
Just as is? As is? Motion by Mr. Charbonneau, seconded by Ms. Doobie to follow the next recommended steps for the RFP, for the posting of the RFP as is, posting in the Journal Bulletin for 7 days, posting on the website, closing date for 10/20. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Bonolo. Ms. Carney.
No.
Mr. Charbonneau. Ms. Doobie.
Yes.
Ms. Fernandez. Ms. Grant. Mr. Shalell.
Yes. Thank you, Rush. Next item, Pawtucket School Department Financial Audit. Again, Mr. Charbonneau and our CFO, if you don't mind. This is under old business. We discussed this last at the special meeting, the workshop meeting. So Mr. Charbonneau, what update what we're asking for? Because we didn't vote to do it last meeting. Am I correct on that?
We took no motion to. Okay. No, I stand by what I said at the last meeting. I think for an operation our size, the budget we haven't done a financial audit, in-house financial audit, in the 9 years I've been on the committee. The city performs their audit in which we participate in. I get that. But we've also had significant turnover. I think if we're gonna do an in-house financial audit, now's the time to do it.
I think we have questions about what you're looking for in terms of scope, because scope will then determine cost.
Yeah, so we can. I think we're trying to find what the motion is gonna be, Joey. So, the scope, Mr. Shabin, I know we talked about it last month. I don't want to talk for you, Jay, but you talked about getting an internal school department audit, and then I was educated that the city already does our audit. But that's why I want to know, like, I want to know what would be the difference.
Right, I think we're coming to the end of some significant ESSER funding. I think the lack of funding we've received over the years in city aid, I mean, we've filled a bunch of positions. We're spending resources, and I think we should level set. I think now is a good time to do that. So as far as scope goes, I'll leave it, to our financial experts in the department to define the scope of it. But if you're saying it's just repetitive work that the city does, I don't know that the city goes into the details on our end. But convince me otherwise if that's your stance.
It's a great question. Are we asking for a duplication, or is there, can we
That's-
ask for something that's going to be?
That's why I asked you the scope, because then once I know the scope, we can share the past audits and what's been done. I mean, they look at our books, they have comments. I had the audit with me the last time, and I was under the impression that everyone received that audit. And we're gonna be going through another one very shortly when, the auditors come in to look at the end of this fiscal year. So.
Sean, you had your hand up?
Yeah, so in the last 16 years, we've had a couple of audits. However, they have not been financial audits that had been requested by the school committee, and those were audits of the organization itself. If we were staffed right, if we were top heavy, if we needed more support in certain areas. It was done by a company, Sweeney. Diana, do you remember the rest of the name? Sweeney. It was when Hans was the superintendent. Was the last time we did it. But they came in and they looked at everybody who was in the entire organization and made sure that we were staffed correctly and weren't heavy in some areas, light in other areas. And you're talking about Berkshire IT audit. They look at that and say you need more people. They look at accounting, they look at.
These are.
Yeah,
separate and
I was gonna say,
But
The
those
I,
are
the
two
I,
different
the
courses.
IT audit is to say, we've spent X amount of millions of dollars on IT equipment, infrastructure, and X amount of it is rolled out and X amount of it is left to be rolled out. The financial audit would be, this is our bucket of money, separate and aside from the city. This is how we've drawn down. This is where we have increased headcount that we will potentially have to remove at the end of this year. So, listen, I'll vote in favor of doing it, but that doesn't mean it'll pass.
Ms. Doobie?
So I think what you just said was exactly the direction I was going to ask if you were going in, because when you mentioned ESSER funding, we have had influxes of money, both unexpected state money and also hard losses. Money we've expected to come in from the city, and as you pointed out, we've just been level funded for several years. And what I was wondering if you were getting at the idea of, we don't know what we're going to have next year. And we just continue to have this cycle of planning, going through our budget season in March or April, saying, well, this is what we're going to do. We're expecting to be cut here. We're expecting to go up here. And then rolling with whatever happens in June, but never really having an idea of do we have enough money to function? Are we just kind of taking advantage of when there's extra money, and then maybe we're going to have to cut programs next year? And that's why when I saw this, I was wondering, are you viewing this as almost a forward thinking, almost pre-budget time to say, we really don't take stock of what are we saying is our ideal situation? Because instead we're always in a reactionary stance to what we're receiving. And so but I don't know if that's the direction you were going in, because we are going to hit a cliff. ESSER money is ending. We have many programs we've funded with ESSER. We have several staff members we've funded with ESSER, and we have new people in place, and having that knowledge of what is our situation going to look like in 9 months based on what it looks like now, and who knows what the state and city do. It's always an unknown until June rolls around.
Yeah, and I think, if I may, Mr. Chairman, it is all encompassing. How many people in the finance department
Today?
currently on staff?
8,
And how many of them are new?
1.
8, one's new, but we lost 3 or 4 people.
3.
Okay. No,
Jen had her hand.
listen, it's $140 million budget. We've had multiple interim superintendents. We've had turnover at the highest levels in the finance department, and we're pushing back on a financial audit. It doesn't make sense.
Included in this as well, I think it'd be a good time to check in on reserves, with, just different, coming off of facilities, subcommittee meeting earlier, thinking about what we have definitely transparently in all of the reserves, whether it's breakage, whether it's capital.
So, Anthony, is that what the audit does? Or does the city come in, look at the numbers that you provided them and just stamp it and say, okay, this is what the Pawtucket, what are you? The school department does? Or do they independently look?
Yeah, no, I think they'll look at both sides. They'll look at the city side, they'll look at our side, and, then they have a consolidated statement as well. At least they should.
Mhm.
Talking about scope then, if maybe we can compile a list of things that we would like to see and discuss it.
Do they get into our reserves? Do they get to look at our reserves?
I don't have the document with me, but I would imagine when you go through it's gonna be thorough. You're gonna look at everything. 'Cause
I'm
how
just
else-
thinking, if we are gonna get more out of it, I agree with Jay. I think we should do a financial, this is the biggest turnover. I've only been on for 7 months, but I've been following for many years. It's the biggest turnover of head positions in the school department in a while. So the only concern I have, are we gonna write off a check for $100,000 to do an internal audit that we already have done and is duplicatable? No disrespect to you, I'm just not hearing that answer. And I think it's because it's highbrow and I'm just not, but if it's gonna get really into the city of Pawtucket.
Well, again, that's,
police,
if I
school
knew
department,
more of what you were looking for, right, in terms of the
I-
scope.
I think
My
every time-
my initial reaction would be, I think it's a duplication, right? Last time I was here, we approved the budget, and that budget was approved with no provision for an audit.
Mhm.
So once you decide scope, then we have to decide how we're funding it.
Okay. Marcia?
Something to Diana, if we all put in, if we communicate with her and just what is some of the things that we would like to see is building up the scope of the work.
Okay.
Sorry, Marcia.
I was just thinking about what, Ms. Ubi was saying about kind of thinking going forward, because I know we've had the discussion that there are so many positions that are funded by ESSA money, we're not gonna have that. And so I don't understand, how it could hurt to find out where all the money is and, you know, where we're gonna get money to do different things. There's a lot of staff. When that money goes away, are they gonna have to go away too? I mean, I think this is things we need to be thinking about right now.
So I don't think an audit is necessarily going to answer that. I think forecasting will. And Anthony and his department will be able to tell us when the money runs out, when the cutoff date's going to be, and what departments it's going to affect. You have all that information? Or should-
ESSA 3 is gonna run through September of 2024.
Right, and you
right?
know
And
what's
then it
gonna happen.
expires. And then we'll know, I mean, decisions will have to be made based on what we did with that money and how we're gonna move forward.
So I think we need to look at the forecasting of what we have in our future, which is a lot of what Erin spoke about. And we need to really start looking at that now to see. I realize that it's the superintendent's job to manage the district, but as a school committee, we do have the voice of the people, so we need to know if, you know, programs are dropping out, like summer camps aren't going to happen again. I would presume. Citywide band, is that gonna happen? We have a lot of different programs going on in the schools that when that money goes away, those are going away unless somebody gives us more money. So I think those are the things we need to look at, exactly what's going to be impacted and when.
All right, so what's the motion on the table? I heard something about, do we need a motion to ask to present what we're looking for to Diana? Jay, this is your item on there. We don't need a motion for that. We just submit what we're looking for in the scope. And then we can bring it back at either the workshop or October's meeting.
I would defer to Attorney Conley. I don't know how we communicate with the clerk and she compiles, I don't know.
Mr. Conley, do you mind, can you,
So I think that because you have an action item, it seems like if there's going to be sort of correction at this point prior to the vote on the item, then yes. Or if as a result of the discussion, the motion is that this is the action that we need to take for approval of this item and approve it with that action. So you do two steps, or you can do one, but either way, you're gonna require that.
all right. So the motion, if I'm hearing it correctly, Marcia, you're the one, the two of you said it with the, let's present whatever, was it you, Jen? I'm sorry, so present what we're looking for out of the audit scope to the clerk of the school committee and bring it before us for either the workshop, if we can get it to her quick enough, or for the October meeting. Go ahead, Marcia, you.
Do we have to do that? Because then we're gonna come back. We already talked about this last month. Now we're talking about it now. Like, can't we, do we need to come back next meeting and vote on it again? Like, do we have to do this next month? What, do we have to?
we need to decide if everybody wants, it's basically a financial audit, which we're audited every year, and as he said, he'll be audited again, so,
But what I'm hearing was he doesn't know the scope, so he can't give me a price.
well, he
I'm-
knows the scope of what was done. He doesn't know if we want more than that, which I'm not an accountant, so I can't tell him
Right.
what more than that, what, an independent
I just want to
accounting firm
internal
would give
school
as
district
a
audit. That's what I'm
audit.
looking for. So. Oh, go ahead.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, if we're gonna do an audit, I think, I know, and I believe, all of our schools have their own small budgets. So those would need to be looked at. I think all of our departments would need to be looked at. I think it would be, if we are gonna do this, I would think this would be a full internal audit of the whole district. Even though the city does do it, it would be nice to probably see or do the comparisons. But I think it would be nice, to find out sooner than later, how much have we spent in the ESSER money? If there is some leftover money, that a school that hasn't received something, that might need something, that we can, try to get at the last minute. But I definitely think with, it's a very big district, and I think with everyone kind of having their own small budgets or their different funding, I think sometimes things can get lost on what the money's actually being spent on. And I've been saying it for a while, and I think we really have to be careful going forward. It's been raining money for years since COVID, but it is going to change. It's kind of a oxymoron to say we've been fortunate, but have we really been with COVID? But I think, we really need to kind of figure things out, because I think we're also going to need to make sure that we set up different accounts for different things. We've done a lot of work in this district over the past years, and we need to make sure, because God forbid, if the state decides to do another moratorium, we haven't been able to touch every single one of our schools in regards to, the big work. I think we need to make sure that we know where all our funds are. And I think with someone new coming in, I would think it would be welcomed, that we would be looking to want to have an audit, because it's kind of like a fresh start, but I definitely, I think I would be for it. I think it would be nice to see where the funds have been going. It would be an early discussion that the administration can have with the different schools in regards to, stop thinking about how you're going to cut back on certain things.
So if I may interrupt you, it's not that, I want to go back to your point, right? So what you're describing sounds more of a financial forecast than an audit that you'd get from an independent public accountant. So is it a forecast of where we're going? Because when you start getting into school budgets and things like that, then that sounds more like a forecast of what we're going to do moving forward if we have cuts or if we stay level funded, when the money runs out.
Well, you'd want to know where the funds are in the different schools in their different budgets, correct? If we wanted a full audit of this district. Because each school is given certain amount of funds. And I would think that would be something we would want to.
But that's what you approved last meeting, right? In that packet?
We approved the budget for this upcoming year, right?
And that was, I believe, detailed in that packet.
Yeah.
So
Forecast.
Well, you know what,
'Cause I'm trying to-
you know what we budgeted this year
Yep.
for each school, right? It was in the packet.
Yep.
Now you want to move going forward and you want to have some business conditions, right? If we're cut 10%, what are we going to do? If we have to go, right? It sounds more like conditional scenarios,
Jay, what do you say?
business case.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's not.
Things.
No,
Just to keep it moving along, why don't we take Ms. Connie's recommendation? Why don't we email the clerk with what we would like to see? The clerk can provide that to Anthony. Anthony can then explain to us, this, and this would be a duplicate. This over here is forecasting. This over here would be part of the financial audit. And this way we can move along the meeting and Anthony will be able to see our, what we're looking for. And then rather than just shooting questions up at him.
Please.
Motion for Pawtucket School Department financial audit to include committee members' suggestions and interests on what they want to see on the budget so that we can then decide what may be redundant or what new auditing or forecasting work will need to be done.
Clerk, do you have that? No. Okay. I saw your pen going a certain way.
What did you leave off at?
Motion.
Second school department financial audit to include school committee member suggestions and what they want to see.
Or possible redundancies and or audit and forecasting so that we can have an update on those areas. It wasn't as eloquent as the first time, but. Okay. Then we,
Everyone on the committee, all right, I'm gonna need it second. All right, so we have a motion by Ms. Connie, second by Mr. Charbonneau. Any more discussion on it?
Call it, because we don't know what it is going to be yet. Do we want? That is what I prefer than calling it an audit, because we haven't decided that it's going to be an audit. So,
commit.
Yeah, motion to.
audit to survey. Is there a second? So when the first words were, she referred to it as an audit. So, we're changing that to a survey of the Pawtucket School Committee members. Yeah. To determine if we're looking for an audit or a forecast.
That's the amended
So
motion.
the amended
It was-
is
it was
survey.
sec- It is. That's the amended, Ms. Grant, Deputy Chair Grant, seconded. All those in favor, discussion on the amendment. All those in favor on the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, now on the motion. Any discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion? With nothing, clerk, all those in favor? All those opposed? None. All right, motion passed. Please submit it, in the next week to 10 days to clerk on what we're looking for, and you'll get back to us if we can for this, workshop, or we'll kick it out to October's meeting. Thank you, Anthony. All right, next item. C, under old business, Whole Kids Grant Amended Agreement. Ms. Bonolo, are you prepared for that?
So I reached out to Whole Kids in Texas and told them that we could not accept their $3,000 grant if it said in the general provisions that it was under the laws of the state of Texas. And so they said, well, we can't change it, but we will take it out. So they took it out of the agreement and sent it to us. So it is no longer under the laws of the state of Texas. so it can be signed by Mr. Bergeron. And we can have our $3,000 to put fencing around the raised beds over at Gorf.
Discussion? Oh. Bill clearance? Because that was the objection last meeting on this. Mr. Conley, we all set legally?
Right, so the contract would have a specific provision, as to what laws would govern. The site of the contract is in, Pawtucket, Rhode Island. The performance of the contract is at Rhode Island, and one of the parties executing the contract is Rhode Island. So, with that being absent, Rhode Island law will go.
Perfect. Any other discussion? It cost us $3,000, correct? Oh, it's the grant, it's that's right, it's the grant. So clerk, call the roll. Please.
Ms. Vinolo. Ms. Carney. Mr. Charbonneau. Ms. Doobie. Ms. Fernandez. Ms. Grant. Mr. Shalell.
Yes. Next item, Charter Commission meeting. Ms. Fernandez.
Mr. Chairman, I'm wondering if you had any discussions regarding this, if you've heard anything, if you've spoken to anybody on our behalf.
I only spoke to a former committee member that's on the commission to find out what is going on with this. And he is completely opposed. He's on the record, completely opposed to this. And I said, is this going anywhere? I'm happy that you emailed us the meeting. I did not know this committee put the Charter Review Commission puts a meeting that they're meeting out on Monday, that they're meeting on Thursday. So I have to stop following. You can follow it on the Secretary of State's website, because the next meeting I will be going to it. I'm very happy that you and Joanne, you went to it, correct? The last one? And then the one before that, I know a bunch of, Ms. Doobie, your husband, a bunch of people went to that one. But I'm completely opposed to it. I was duly elected by the citizens of the city of Pawtucket. I am not for this, but this is the Charter Review Commission's play that they're doing with it. So if you wanted to hear me say it on the record, I am against this, and I will make sure to say that to them. But but to the point that Mr. Charbonneau said last meeting, speaking in one voice, that's the only one if you guys tell me to say, I'll sign off on a written communication that we all oppose it, if we all oppose it. We didn't talk about it. The last meeting, we had 4 members. So I am not sitting here telling you that I want to do this. So if you want to put a communication together, I'm for it.
I think, as I stated in the last meeting, right? I was the only one that attended the first meeting, and then I was away, and so that's when I think that, Erin testified and her family, thank you. And then I made it known at our meeting that, as the chairman of the school committee, it would be really nice if you attend these meetings and be our voice. Maybe I misunderstand your role, but for me, I feel as if you should be the one attending these meetings. The first meeting, you didn't attend, and you stated you didn't attend because you were at a meeting. You weren't at a meeting. We were all at a meeting together. I left there and went to that meeting. And then the last meeting, as soon as I found out, which was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, that there was a meeting, because, and you're being a little bit too kind to the Charter Commission when you say they put out on Monday a meeting for Thursday. They did not give that much notice.
I thought they went by the 48-hour rule.
So that's a whole nother story that's discussed in those meetings. I again stress that how important it was that you go and you be our voice. And once again, you didn't. I sent that message out to the entire school committee. Once I heard that it was happening, I have a very busy life. I have children too. I have a lot going on, but I feel as if, as an elected official, we need to be there to have our voices heard. And I think you should be the one doing it for the school committee. You said you couldn't go. Joanne did show up on Zoom thank you. So it was me and Aaron. And then I also thank the councilmen and state reps who come to speak on our behalf. So we have them standing up, advocating for us, and our own chairperson isn't. And you gotta step up because they're trying to do something underhanded, and I would appreciate, as the chairperson, you being at these meetings, and they didn't put it to rest. They're gonna talk about it again at another meeting, so now.
Ms. Dubey?
This for speaking at the meetings and for going to the meetings. I did attend the meeting that was the one that they kind of did the first beginning of reconsideration of this. And I do agree that it was very important for me to speak at that meeting. However, I have to say that as a former chair of this committee, I would never have on any issue, even one that I assumed what my members believed to be true, even one like this, ever spoken on behalf of the committee without having an actual vote from that committee. So I do want to clarify that. The chair can speak for himself. And I think that that is something that our chair can decide to do. And I would welcome that, to see the chair of our committee speaking at one of these meetings and saying, as the chair of the school committee, I want to speak very firmly. But I know when I spoke at the meeting, I spoke for myself. And it is important that we remember that we are 7 elected people. And although our chair does run our meetings on any issue, he is not the voice of this committee unless there is explicit approval. It doesn't have to be unanimous, but a majority vote of this committee saying, here is the words we would like you to say, because I know I don't want the chair to ever say that he is speaking for me if that approval hasn't been given, even though I do agree, sometimes there's issues you say, yeah, but this is so easy to say we're all in lockstep. But I think that is a slippery slope because there were definitely some items that I assumed when I was chair, we were all in unanimous, and then the meeting came and I realized that that wasn't the case. And if I had gone to the news media and said, as the chair of the school committee, I'm letting you know the entire school committee feels this way, I know that would have been overstepping my role. So I understand that sentiment, but I do want to push back on it happening before there's an actual approval from this committee. Thank you.
I just want to say, when this all first started, unfortunately, it started kind of a bit around a time that I've had some family personal things going on, so I've missed a couple of meetings. But on August 3rd at 6:20 p.m., I did reach out to the chair. I asked him if him and I could meet, that I was very concerned about things that were being said, things that were being seen. I watched the videos. He did respond to me, that he thanked me for the text, and because I asked him if we could meet, because I really felt at that time that him and I really needed to meet, and that we needed to meet to really talk about some of the discussions, some of the communication and, certain things. And I felt that it starts with him and I. He did reach out about 2 hours later, and he thanked me for the text. However, he mentioned to me, and I, like I said, I've had some things going on, but there have been others that you've seen me out on certain things. I have been available if needed. But he did tell me that he would like for him and I to get together. And unfortunately, he said he would reach out to me, and I had never heard back from him. This is the first time I had seen him since I sent that text. So it does bother me because I understand you are the chair, and I respect the position that you're in. But I feel as the deputy chair, I tried to come to you to see if you and I could have a conversation about how we could maybe, work together and maybe, work as a team to try to, whatever that perception is out there that led to this, that we would be able to work as a team to try to, change that perception. And unfortunately, I wanted to respect your time and your family, and after that, I didn't reach back out to you. But I did reach out and asked if we could work together, and you did acknowledge it. And like I said, I wish I had reached out and we could have. But as soon as I found out this was going on, within a day or so after I saw the first meeting, I did try to reach out. I did reach out to make you aware of what was going on, and that I felt that we needed to work together as a team to try to pull everyone together to try to rise above it. So I just wanted to kind of let everyone know what has been taking place behind the scenes.
I'll say publicly, she did reach out to me. I'm not to be, and I'm sorry. Ms. Connie, did you have your hand up? Oh. All right, any other discussion on this? Jay, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I thought you had your hand up, honestly. Okay. Any other discussion on the, my statement in the beginning of it is factual, and I will pay attention to when they post their meetings. So any other discussion on this? Jay?
Would it be the will of the committee to send a formal letter to President Mercer? The council will ultimately, if the Charter Review Commission pushes this thing through, the council will ultimately have the final say on it. I mean, I think we should submit a formal letter signed by those members of this committee who are opposed to an appointed school committee, outlining just that. That's my motion, that we submit a formal letter indicating the committee's objection to the council's consideration of any appointed school committee going forward.
Yeah, can we add the Charter Review Commission as well?
That's what I was gonna say. Should it go to the Charter Review?
I think it goes to the council. This Charter Review Commission was posting meetings not on Monday for Thursday, on Sunday for Tuesday, on Sunday morning for Tuesday. Okay. We've got to accept and acknowledge the environment in which we're operating. And the letter goes from the chair of the school committee to the president of the council, okay, as far as I'm concerned.
Are you drafting it?
We got Mr. Charbonneau with the motion, Ms. Connie seconded it, now discussion.
Who's drafting it?
I figured we would ask the clerk to draft something like that from us, but Jay, do you? Well, I'm assuming you've written, well, go ahead.
The chair.
If
The
you
chair
got-
would draft it and
If you
maybe
got-
have legal look at it.
You want me to do that? Okay.
I'm
I
just
will-
basing it on the last time I had to send it a communication about when I was.
Don't forget, you're an educator and I work for the state, so this is but I will do my best. I'll make sure. But want to make sure that this discussion is happening open. Are we all opposed to the Charter Review Commission? Suggestion for an appointed school committee? Because to Ms. Doobie's point, that's the reason why I didn't speak out in one sense. Are we all against it? Okay, then the letter will say, so, absolutely. Okay, thank you. So that's the motion. Any more discussion? It was motion by Mr. Charbonneau, seconded by Ms. Connie to send a communication to President Mercer, unified opposition from the Pawtucket School Committee of of an appointed school committee. Anything else? Because of this, clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Pinolo, Ms. Carney, Mr. Charbonneau, Ms. Doobie, Ms. Fernandez, Ms. Grant, Mr. Shalell.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now on E Tufts mural design approval, Ms. Benolo, you're up again?
Yes, so we met with Tufts, we met with the artist, and we came up with the slogan, "Together we can learn, grow, and play." You each have a picture of what has been submitted by the artist, which I believe is pretty close to what we want. So,
Motion to approve, is that what you're looking for? Motion to approve the Tufts mural design as included in our packet?
second,
I attended the meeting with the artist and Miss Benolo and Marcia. He was very receptive to our feedback from the first couple of drawings. And I think that this is collaborative of everyone that was in the room. Miss Rabbit was there on what we had wanted to see. So I'm happy with this presentation now.
I just want to mention that the past 2 times this has come before us, I have voted no. So I just want everyone to know I'm going to vote no again. It has nothing to do with the picture, anything like that. I am not a big fan of pictures being drawn on buildings. I have concerns about who maintains it. Tufts is a healthcare plan. We all know that insurance companies go out of business every day, and someone needs to take over. And we used to have a beautiful one on the highway of Wales, and now it's back to plain again. So I don't, so I just think that if I'm not aware of what the plan is to maintain this, I just can't, I just don't want to have to worry about it looking really sloppy in a couple of years from wear and tear.
I just wanted to acknowledge my colleagues' work on this, and I think that's how this committee should function. We're presented with something, it should never be a rubber stamp out the door 20 minutes. And I remember it got a little aggressive at some of the initial, and to the artist's credit, he or she took feedback, but to my colleagues on the committee, nice work on this. This is considerably better than what we were first presented with. And I appreciate the fact that you all, didn't just rubber stamp it. Nicely done.
Ms. Manolo?
I just did want to say that Tufts, part of the agreement is that they will maintain the mural for the next 5 years.
Oh, that's in writing? Okay. Yes. All right, any other discussion? With none, clerk, please call the roll.
Manolo.
Yes.
Ms. Carney. Mr. Charbonneau. Ms. Doobie. Ms. Fernandez. Ms. Grant. Mr. Shalal.
Yes. All right, Ms. Benolo, don't go too far because I think it's you that needs to remove it from the table. Can I have a motion to remove from table life skills project update? Oh. Okay. So we're gonna pass on that. I have to call out life skills project updates for G. Table, that's tabled, all right. Still tabled. All right. Sounds like that's a fun project there. On the new business. Pawtucket School Department organizational chart, I'm gonna turn it over to our superintendent.
Thank you. Good evening again. Can we? Where's hers? Hopefully he can pull it up on the screen for us. Thank you. You have a copy of it in your notebook, and it's regarding the organizational chart. I was given the original organizational chart, which was the blue circle, if everyone recall from previously. So I tried to align responsibilities and different departments that made sense for the organization to move forward. So for example, I did add at the top of our organizational chart, people of Pawtucket, because I think that their input should guide our decisions and everything that we do. And then the Pawtucket School Committee, and then myself. I'm going to start from the far left of the organizational chart, where we have a new Chief of Assessment, Accountability, and Research. And she oversees CT department, the Director of Special Ed in her department, the Executive Directors of School that we voted on during our budget.
No, but do you guys want to see it? No, never mind. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Keep going, stop. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, and then we have the Director of Curriculum. So she oversees that department. I gave you all the top 3 layers of the school department. So that's Dr. Tate. That's Dr. Tate, can you wave your hand? That would be her department. Then we have the Assistant Superintendent of Leadership and Operations. She will oversee the Director of Registration and Transportation, Food Service, Construction, because you know we have a lot of construction going on. So Lisa will be our main point person for overseeing those projects. Director of Facilities and the Athletic Director. That's it, Construction, Food Service, and also our Title I. So she oversees those departments. And that's Miss Lisa. Lisa's over there? Oh, okay. Moving right along. And I also want to add before I continue that we sat as a cabinet. So I did implement a weekly cabinet meeting. So I meet with all the cabinets, which are our top level leaders in the district, so that we all came together to discuss what made sense. I just want you all to know that I didn't make these decisions alone. Just like we often meet with the PTU, just so we want input on decisions that are being made for our school district. Also, we have Assistant Superintendent Leadership and Support Services, which is, she's overseeing the Multilingual Learning Department, Director of Early Childhood, and the Director of Child Opportunity Zone, which is very huge because she also oversees our adult ed programs and our after-school programs as well. And that would be Miss Lee Rabbit. You want to wave your hand? Miss Lee? Tapper? Hi. Yes. And then we have our Chief Human Resource and Talent Officer. And she oversees our Human Resource Department. And that's enough. that's a huge job. So Ms. Lofton, Crystal Lofton, raise your hand. And then we also have Chief Financial Officer, and he oversees it was called our business office. So now it's still our business office, but that's the office that he oversees. And that's Anthony Vocio. Raise your hand. And then we have our Chief Information and Innovation Officer, who is over our IT in our district and data sharing and et cetera. And that's Mr. Hirsch, who's still behind me. So that's the whole, as far as the top level leadership. And like I said, we work very closely together. We meet weekly, sometimes 2 or 3 times, just depending on the week. But we put this org chart together, and I asked for everyone's input because I did want it to make sense, because I'm very, very passionate about what we are here to do. It may look, because I hear this term often, top heavy, but most of these positions are on the ground. They will be in schools, supporting leaders and helping them grow. Ron and I often talk about the importance of leadership in professional development, and that's a huge component, not only for teachers, but also for leaders. So that's why we laid it out as such. Yes, ma'am.
Shared Director of Human Resources.
Mm-hmm.
Who is that? Is that a new position?
That is
and who are we sharing with?
So to be shared with the city. So I will have the director for 2 days and instead we'll have a director for 3 days. And just to announce that a person has not been hired at all. Position has not been filled. I will not be hiring for the position because I'm not paying for the majority of the position, but it has not been filled yet.
We did that before. It didn't work.
Well, now I have a chief.
It was a problem then.
When you did it before, you only had, coordinator of HR. And then you're trying to share the director. I totally understand that. But that's why I went ahead and just did the chief, because if not, I would still be in that situation, waiting for a person to be hired. So even if we don't get it, we're fine. If we do get it, that'll be an extra set of hands that we definitely can use, because like I said, it's a lot of work in human resource. But right now, that position has not been filled.
Okay. So our two assistant superintendents, have been pretty much removed from direct contact with principals and people in the school. And the reason for that?
We can look at our data. And I have to put people in positions based on their strengths.
Okay.
And when I did this, like I said, we all sat, we had discussions, we all agreed. I did not do those moves without having previous discussions and getting input from both assistancies.
Okay. I didn't have any other discussion.
Okay. Super, great job on putting this all together.
What's my team?
And your team, good job.
Just do it alone.
All right. We don't need a motion to approve this, so that's superintendent's authority to, right, yeah, just, thank you. Is it my metallic personality? Why is this thing feedbacking? All right. Next item, we're moving on here. Secondary club revision for approval. Assistant Superintendent Ramsey.
Good evening. This evening, I'd like to present to you a couple of changes in clubs that the secondary schools would like to run for the 23-24 school year. None of these revisions reflect in any way a cost increase, with the exception of one that I'm asking for your approval. They would all stay within the realm. You can see on the sheet that has been provided to you, the column is whether or not the check marks is whether it ran in 2022, 2023. If it doesn't have a check mark, it's being replaced by something else. So for example, at Jenks, they're proposing a change from cheerleading to chess and replacing Culture and Climate Club with drama and board games with the same stipend afforded prior. The one increase in the proposed cost would be at JMW, and I am asking the committee to increase their club stipend rate to $250, as they would like to add a fashion design club for the 2023-2024 school year.
And by Mr. Charbonneau, seconded by Ms. Doobie. Discussion? Erin first and Joanne.
I just wanna, ask, this all came, from the site based on interest and, availability, or was this done on the top end and dictated down?
No, the principals have been working with their leadership team and their students based on interest at the school level. I reached out to them to see if their clubs were going to stay the same. We heard in the student presentations this evening that some of them have already begun to meet on their own without approvals for stipends. Some of them aren't, they're just gatherings. But yes, this came from the student body.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Spinola?
Questions. One was replacing the cheerleading. Weren't they combined with the high schools?
It didn't run, well, it ran, but it didn't run last year.
It didn't run last year?
Well, it ran, but it was unfilled.
Okay, and the other question was, we saw the stage 2 provision and we have a CTE coming into the high school for fashion design, and we're putting that in, JMW now.
It was a proposal from the school themselves, and I thought I would bring it to you for approval. I thought that it was a nice way to have them showcase their talents within that time. It can, that's completely
Well, they
open.
still have a few years to go. I just noticed the, duplication of cross paths.
Of
so-
what it was, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Joanne actually asked the question about cheerleading. We just approved that last month. We just approved for middle school cheer to be run at the same time as the high school. But you're saying that they're replacing that with something else?
Was that through athletics?
I don't remember.
That might have been through athletics and not clubs and after-school clubs. These are clubs and activities that teachers run, and that cheerleading, was it Dino? Okay, so that would have been through athletics.
Again, like the high school is many, many years away. So I think whatever we need to do until then, I think is.
All right, no, go ahead, Kim.
I noticed, so JMW pays their yearbook stipend is $750. But Tolman's yearbook person gets paid $2,000. And then Shays get paid $2,000. Who decides what they get paid?
This has been something that has come out from the business office for many years, and I think it is, in fact, I'm not going to say I think, it is based on size of the student body and size of the classes that are involved. So if you have a yearbook of 200 and, somebody help me with the Jenks enrollment, JMW enrollment, 350, 391 as opposed to 1,100. So the work is significantly different.
Let's just see, because significant difference,
Any other discussion? Clerk, hearing none, please call the roll.
Who made the motion and who seconded? Because I don't have that.
I have Jay and Aaron. Am I correct? I write it down. Yep.
My apologies. I do have it. My apologies. Ms. Bonolo. Ms. Carney. Mr. Charbonneau. Ms. Doobie. Ms. Fernandez. Ms. Grant. Mr. Schlau.
Yes. Thank you very much. All right, next, recall, certified educator. Ms. Lofton.
Hello.
Hi.
So we have a recall of a certified art teacher to Cunningham Elementary for a 1-year position.
By Mr. Charbonneau, second by Deputy Chair Grant. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, clerk, all those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
They might not be that easy all the time, but thank you very much.
I totally understand.
All right, next one is the K Playground. Ms. Bonolo, what? Yep, Ms. Bonolo, please.
So, it's two parts. When Kim came up with the idea of playground, it was to increase the scope of work of what we had, and we did come up with the money. And we chose to, because it was fully handicapped accessible, we are calling it Everyone's Playground. So I will make a motion for that. However, for everything that inspired Kim, her daughter inspired me in every piece of equipment that we picked, because she is one of those students, one of those children who has to go to Fall River or Fairhaven to Noah's Playground, to actually be in a playground that is equipped with handicapped equipment that she can partake in. So in addition to naming it Everyone's Playground, I would like a plaque placed on one of the tables that's there, a handicapped accessible table, that says, "Thank you, Tegan Grant, for your inspiration in the year 2023. So that is my motion, that we name it Everyone's Playground and we dedicate it to Tegan.
Thank you, Tegan Grant. What was the part?
For your inspiration.
Thank you. All right. There's the motion by Ms. Bonolo, and it was seconded over here. Was it seconded by Ms. Fernandez? All right. Discussion. Ms. Grant, go ahead.
So first of all, I do want to thank Ms. Bonolo for that. I really do appreciate that. And everyone who knows me, everything I do is, for Tegan and children like Tegan. Tegan had the opportunity to be in school in Pawtucket, and Tegan was fortunate enough to go to one of the elementary schools. However, that elementary school did not have an accessible playground. Thank goodness she was tiny enough, and there were strong teachers and special educators who didn't let her sit out. I would get pictures of them climbing up and someone handing Tegan up to them so she could go down the slide. And I definitely don't want to lose sight of the children in the city of Pawtucket and the teachers at Kirby McCabe who advocated for this. The teachers who advocated for this and are strong teachers who've been in the district for a long time. They've worked really hard and are very dedicated to the children that they work with. But I think when this did come up, Mr. Charbonneau was the chair of the committee. I had approached him and we had discussed how big the area was, and that this would be a great opportunity for collaboration with the city, especially because the teachers did apply for a grant through the city. We were fortunate enough to work with Mr. Vine, and Mr. Charbonneau did ask me to lead the team and Ms. Bonolo to work beside me. And we worked with Colliers and John Cody and Melissa to get this done. Because of this and other things, and how passionate people are in this district and on this committee, we've had administration who has applied for other grants. So we will be having 2 more, hopefully fully accessible playgrounds coming to 2 of our schools. Hopefully it'll start next year, but it depends on all the timing and with the rain. So I just want to let you know that, this playground is very personal to me. And I think it's just very important. And my hope is someday that all the children come back to the district and they're all able to go to their home schools, because that's what they deserve. They deserve to play with their friends in their neighborhood and know who those people are. And I think, this is a good start. And again, I want to thank the committee for supporting the playground, and I want to thank the teachers and Colliers and Melissa and all the administration for supporting this. And I think this is something that's both good for the city of Pawtucket and for the district and for our children. So I just want to thank you all.
I just want to acknowledge my colleagues for their thoughtful and really great work on this project. This thing is 5-7 years in discussion, from, and Ms. Grant references the Curvin teachers, and, I want to certainly acknowledge the, Miss Nelson, the principal there, who got us at breakfast one morning and said, we need a playground at Curvin McCabe. And Miss Grant, who ran with the idea, and Miss Pinolo, who partnered with her. I drove by occasionally as it was getting built. And most recently this past Sunday morning. And it's just, it's a true partnership. And what happens when people with a shared vision work together and put the egos and the accolades aside and get the job done, and that's Miss Grant leading this team, Miss Pinolo, our team at Colliers, Mike at the city, and, that's collaboration. Last meeting, I told you what collaboration wasn't. That's what collaboration is. Nicely done. Yeah, I think they did it. I think.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, we have to take a vote.
I know we're not, but I don't know if Jay was done yet.
I'm done.
All right. Any other discussion? I wasn't part of this committee, but I heard about this process from afar. And for the members on it, Ms. Pinolo, Chairman at the time, Charbonneau, Ms. Doobie, Kim, Ms. Grant, congratulations. Great job. Just a terrific job. No other discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Pinolo, Ms. Carney, Mr. Charbonneau, Ms. Doobie, Ms. Fernandez, Ms. Grant, Mr. Shalhoub.
Yes.
Thank you, Bob.
No problem. Nice job. All of you guys, good job. Next item, letter E, site control McCoy Stadium, Miss Grant. And I think we're gonna be dealing with Mr. Conley too, right? Well,
yeah, so I asked that site control be on this, and I after seeing what's going to be coming up, we had facilities prior to this, and we might be able to have more discussion then, but and Ms. Bonolo mentioned it in facilities also, that it's not just myself who's concerned about site control with McCoy Stadium. We want this high school. However, right now there is someone who is interested in buying it. Me personally, I haven't been in on any conversations that have told me anything different than what I've seen on TV. And up until last week, I did still see that the city is looking forward to a proposal from a gentleman from, I guess, the the reason I'm concerned is, and I wanted to just kind of bring it to everyone's attention because I know we all think differently and things like that. But when we did Tolman and Shea, or when we were supposed to do Tolman and Shea, and everything kind of changed in regards to that, we didn't have a backup plan. And then a few years later, we end up being where we are now. And September, the end of September or Friday, they're going to be submitting stage 2. However, stage 2 is going to be, the package will be incomplete. And because the package will be incomplete, one of the things that will be missing is site approval or site control. So I know at the beginning of the summer when all this has come up, I had asked Mr. Connolly, and he had mentioned that he had been working with the city. It looks like now we do have a draft. However, if you read the letter, it does say, assuming the matter has made its way through the committee, October 11th, 2023 is the earliest date for the city council to vote on the resolution. It does have to pass through twice. We do have February, but my concern is if this gentleman or this corporation does decide to buy McCoy and it is accepted, then we need to find another place and we need to redo stage 2 over. And we have to have it submitted by February. And we won't have enough time to do that. So I think, I know everyone wants the high school, but of course it's also very important when you're getting money into the district. So I can see, the idea being entertained. But the problem is what could end up happening, and I don't want to happen, is this to either get pushed back or the opportunity just changes. And like I said, one of the reasons I brought it is because I am a thinker. I'm not thinking about today, I'm thinking about next week already. Today was thought about last week. I'm concerned, and I think if you read this, they are telling us that there is a chance this might not be on the October 11th thing. And whether I'm reading too much into it or not, and I hope it is on October 11th, but if it's not, we do have to be prepared, because then that continuously pushes it back. And it would be okay if the gentleman and his company doesn't buy but again, we're all still waiting on meetings. We're still waiting on meetings for them to meet with certain people. We're still waiting on a proposal. So there's a lot of ifs and there's a lot of unanswered questions. And as it stands right now, I just wanted to share my concern and see if maybe, we need to just start talking just in case, but I don't know if other people have thought of it or not thought of it, but I just don't want to have a situation like we did when we went into the Tolman Shea. And, granted, it rolled into this, but it didn't roll into this right away. And we're still not even there yet. We still have a long way to go. But as of right now, we do not have site control. So in site control is the things is the thing that makes this happen. So I just wanted to, discuss it maybe,
Jay, Mr. Charbonneau. Yeah, I appreciate the fact that, the items on the agenda, I'm disappointed that we don't have site control at this point. I think 3 weeks ago, a month ago, when we discussed it, we were saying it was basically the city council passing a resolution, and did we not get this draft resolution to them? Or did we not formally request it? We do a lot of, or recently we're doing a lot of talking about, I met with someone, I talked to somebody. But if we're not putting formal requests in, then one, I think we're derelict in our follow-up. But so I'll ask that question first. Did we submit a formal request after the last meeting when we were talking about it just being a resolution and it was gonna go through? And did we ask the president to put it on the council meeting? Because they met last week.
I'll say that, but if you don't mind, Mr. Conley, you and Mr. Malos was working together to get this resolution to them since July? August?
Yes, right, so, without remembering the specifics, we discussed that, the meeting, the joint meeting that we had with, members of the, members of the, facilities, subcommittee, Colliers, city officials that were there, talked about, what was going on. I would say that within 24 hours of that meeting, and it was in July. As a result of that discussion, I drafted a resolution for the solicitor's review that would satisfy the regulations, the right regulations for there was, without being able to give you the date, I certainly go through my email chain. Within a short period of time after that, I received an email from the solicitor asking a question regarding the details you need to we had a telephone conversation about that because there was some initial discussion that there would be a bound description for it, and that the city was going to get a bound description of engineering. Right, that was going to take some, and we don't really need a new bound description. We have a topo map that we're working on our side of it, and as well as we finally got the hit sometime this afternoon. But the topo map would be satisfactory for ride service. So we cleared that up. Then when they reviewed the topo map, there was a question about the way it was drafted as to whether or not fire safety property was included. Clearly it's not. And so the solicitor made an adjustment in the language to make sure that the depiction of the topo map wouldn't be included in the text of the resolution. And then what I provided to the Colliers team for submission as part of phase 2 is the final language that you all have in front of you, and the narrative that Ms. Grant just reviewed with you. That language came specifically from the solicitor's office. And when I changed any of that, I wanted to make sure that it actually represented what the city had provided to us for submission. That's the travel of the communication. I respectfully, I didn't ask seek flow officials from the committee to engage in that communication. I frankly thought I was doing it as part of my job as legal counsel.
Ms. Spinell first, then Jen. I'm sorry.
Those all apologies, but I asked one question. I had the floor, I believe.
I'm
But
sorry.
Mr. Conley, do we know what date this draft was finalized in its current form? Or approximately when?
Yes. I think over this past weekend.
Okay, because how I've seen this play out is on July 7th, thereabouts, we hear of potentially an outside firm wanting to buy McCoy. And there is this big, uproar about it, and he wants the community to get involved and so on and so forth. But the mayor was on last week on the radio saying that the developers team has met with our team and school officials, and there's conversations ongoing, and we're waiting on a plan from them. Did any of those meetings take place?
Oh, did any of those meet? Oh, thank goodness.
Well, Mr. Chairman, you had emailed us a month ago saying that there was a request for a meeting, but no follow-up, no schedule.
Right.
And no communication other than, hey, we want to get together and meet with you. And then last week, the mayor's on the radio on Tara Granahan saying that there's ongoing meetings, and I hear tonight that that's not the case. So I'll remind this committee that there was a plan in place to renovate high schools. And that plan was brought right to the 11th hour. And not only were the brakes pumped, the plan was shut down in lieu of chasing after a unified high school. I chaired the unified high school subcommittee. Make no mistake about it, there is no plan B available. We as a subcommittee looked at every location possible to house what we believe is going to be roughly a 500,000 square foot building. There was no other spot in the city available that had the facilities other than McCoy. That was a year and a half ago. Here we are now on the heels of submitting stage 2 for the said unified high school. All of a sudden, somebody who wasn't interested in McCoy 3 years ago when it was out there publicly bidding for use, drops in and says, I may want to buy it and I'll get a proposal to you in 3 weeks. That was in July. It's now September. Now we're up against the deadline from RIDE. We don't have site control. We're not going to get site control. And the clock's going to run out. So everyone's aware of what's going on here. Okay? So it's on the record. That's what's happening. And when we don't communicate formally, this is the kind of stuff we get ourselves in trouble with. You know what? You don't have a bully pulpit. You don't either. I don't either. So our story doesn't get told. But this to me is nothing more than a continuation of kicking the can down the road from Shea renovations, which would have been done by now. You know, let us not forget, at my urging, the city council convened with their bond attorney in June of 2021. And they were told by their bond counsel, they had the capacity to bond up to 200 million, given the current circumstances. We went out and bonded for 330 million a year later. Do we think the economic climate got so much better in Pawtucket that that our own bond counsel was saying 200 was the ceiling and we go out for 330? You know what? We can go out for $1 billion bond. If we never exercise it, it doesn't mean anything. So this is a huge problem because it'll come back that we submitted an incomplete packet to RIDE, and that's why they kicked the can down the road. I think we should find out in September, after the submission date, how many school districts submitted in September. Because had we had all our ducks in a row, like we were pushing, this committee was pushing, and our team was pushing, I bet we would have been one of 2 or 3 districts to have our packet in September. And instead, we're going to get this thing dragged out through the holidays, dragged out into January, and then it's going to be, well, let's dump it in February, maybe. It's embarrassing that that we're at this point and everybody still believes that we should do business with a handshake. Go ahead, Ms. Valero. I'm done.
So just for the record, I have done my due diligence. I have made 2 phone calls to Attorney Milos that have gone unreturned. I have talked to counsel on 2 occasions about chasing down Attorney Milos. I have spoken to Terry Mercer, who is president of the council, who hadn't seen it cross his desk. I then talked to the city clerk, Rick Goldstein, and he gave me the process of where it had to be. He said he knew it was coming. He was waiting for it to. He hadn't seen it. But when it showed up to him, which would be the next council meeting, it would be referred to the property committee, which would be Marlena, and I spoke to her. And then it would go back to the city council the following meeting, which would bring us into October for a formal vote. So I've also talked to the mayor. I've talked to everybody I can. So what I am waiting for is actually, you have 2 letters that you have to sign. That the mayor has to sign. I'm waiting to get those 2 letters signed.
As soon as we vote on that, right?
So that'll be a tell.
If I may. I think part of the problem is we're having all these sidebar conversations. You know, with all due respect, Ms. Manolo, you shouldn't be calling the city solicitor. That's what we're paying Attorney Conley for. And we shouldn't be calling the chairwoman of the property committee or, you know, as elected officials, we want to have that dialogue off the record. That's one thing. But I think we muddy the waters when we start injecting parts of conversations we've had with other elected officials into the public meeting format. You know, there needs to be a process. This should have been a formal communication from the chair of the school committee to the president of the council requesting at their next council meeting that they take up a resolution giving us care and control of McCoy Stadium. This should be the easiest thing the council has to deal with. And, you know, shame on me for saying 3 weeks ago that I think that they would move expeditiously, the council and the mayor would move expeditiously to get this done. Because what I'm hearing tonight is we're being delayed.
Any other discussion? Mr. Conley, is this in the city council's clerk's hand now, this resolution? Yep. What is it?
That the chairman draft a communication to the president of the city council, including the draft resolution requesting that the council move directly to the council for approval at their earliest meeting.
So you want me to have them not submitted to the property subcommittee?
I don't want any more hangups. So if that's the process they have to follow, something tells me that much like this committee, if the council president, or in this case, if the chairman of the school committee decided, you know what, we're not putting this on a subcommittee, we're bringing it straight to the agenda. That is well within your authority and also well within President Mercer's.
With this resolution attached to it too. Who wrote the resolution?
I grabbed it back after that conversation. We need a resolution that be positive arrival.
Okay.
So that's right.
So I can attach this resolution. We want this resolution on the docket of the city council, the next available meeting for the city council. I'll write that letter up. Oh, no, wait, sorry, that's a motion. That's only a motion. I need a second on that.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Charbonneau, seconded by Ms. Bonolo. Any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Bonolo.
Yes.
Ms. Carney. Mr. Charbonneau. Ms. Doobie. Ms. Fernandez. Ms. Grant. Mr. Shalal.
Yes. Okay. Give me just 1 second. Okay, let's go. Coordinating start times for JMW Jenks. Marsha.
Sorry, I was chit-chatting over here. What are we doing? Oh, so JMW and Jenks. Is that what we were talking about? I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
hard
I
coordinating
was
start
not paying
time.
attention. I'm sorry. So I just wanted to throw it out there because transportation is an issue every year because they put the JMW kids on the Jenks bus. And then they're late for school. And that was when it was only the special ed students, but special education students, but this year they're busing all the JMW kids that live throughout the city, so far away. And so I didn't know if it would make sense just to kind of have a discussion about that so that one, transportation is, we save maybe some money in transportation or some headaches in transportation. Yeah, so that's where that is. That's what I wanted to discuss.
Is that the question? Is this item F and G kind of, is it combined?
It's me not paying attention.
No,
okay?
that's,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
just wondering if like, that is a.
Yes,
Okay.
because in order for it to coordinate the transportation, it would have to be, the start times would have to be the same.
I was calling up Lisa regarding the transportation.
So Chair, this is items F and G.
Do we have transportation? Do we have transportation here tonight?
Lisa's transportation. Lisa's transportation.
Notice Miss Ramsey.
And so why I put them together, Ms.
Yes,
Ramsey,
ma'am.
was because
Yeah, it makes sense.
that's why, just a discussion.
They go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So obviously the conversation about the start times of Jenks and JMW predated my time at central office. But from what I understand, it was to keep the high school students kind of separated from the middle school students. It's very important that we get our high school students in and in their classrooms before they intermingle with the middle school students, hence the time. It didn't need to be so completely different because they do go into one door and the Jenks students go into another. You're right, up until last year, we didn't transport JMW students, all but those with special ed needs or special 504 accommodations or something like that. But then upon actually that conversation last year, it started to not make sense that we didn't bus them since we moved to busing high school students district-wide. So why wouldn't we bus our students to JMW? And the bus company has done a very nice job of doing the mileage 1.75 around the district to get the students, well, obviously 1.75 within our district, not those students that are chartered in outside of our district. So we do bus those students, and those outside the district can get statewide to come on in. So the bus company has definitely worked with us to try to get those busing routes accommodated and working within the structure. So I think they've done a really nice job. I haven't heard that the times have been so outlandish at this point. But I would very much, and it's obviously at the pleasure of the committee, but I would very much like to keep the high school and the middle school a little bit separate in that they are separate entities.
The last 2 years, that it's been an issue for my son personally.
Correct.
So thank you all for, it happens, it ends up fixing itself, but for the first week of school, he's late and you know what I mean? And he's not the only one, right? And so, I didn't know if that would solve some of the headache, which is why I brought it up. But again, I'm grateful that you guys did work it out.
So if you think about it, Ms. Fernandez, actually, the Jenks attendance buses only go in the Jenks attendance area. The other buses for JMW, they go out the whole district.
Mhm.
So we wouldn't really be able to utilize the Jenks buses anyway.
Yep.
I mean, all but for those in the Jenks attendance area, and that's probably 1 or 2 students that qualify at the 1.75.
No, thank you, thank you.
So a couple of things. I actually found out from a third party that we were now busing JMW. I had no idea. I know as of last year, we weren't busing JMW, so I was a little caught off guard. I actually have a couple of questions. So, the first thing I want to ask is, did every single student, even incoming and students who are still in JMW, receive a letter letting them know that busing was available if they were still? So I just want to make sure it just wasn't incoming. I want to make sure if you were a junior or senior, that if you were within the boundaries, that every student received that letter that's eligible for it.
That is correct. All our students received a letter, and all our secondary schools opt in to busing. So
Okay.
there's a form on our website, and from that opt-in form, we go by mileage based on the school, and then we route those that are eligible by mileage.
Okay. The other question is, I guess it's a two-part question. When was it decided that we were going to bus JMW? And was it included in the budget that was just approved? And the reason I asked for that is because, like you said to Ms. Fernandez, they're not being put on the Jenks bus. So it sounds like they're having their own buses, and we pay per day for a bus. So if they're having their own bus, then these are added buses.
Yeah, I could speak to that for sure. So we contract for 43 buses, and we contracted for 45 last year. So the 43, which they never fulfilled, they never got to 45. We really only ran with 43, hence the continual delays. So we are paying for the bus, but because we don't partner with Davies and that tier, we did have a bus that was able to start. And the fact that JMW does start a little bit earlier allowed us to run a tier that was able to pick those students up, because they can go in 15 minutes prior, which means that they can then go do, and I think that bus that does JMW, Mr. Cristino, Mrs. Cristino's not here, is that correct? Okay, so I just want to, I don't want to speak incorrectly, but so the bus that does that then stays local and does the little buses, the little Agnes Little bus. So, sorry. So it does the little bus. So because JMW does start early, and then we do supervision 15 minutes prior, that bus is able to start a little bit earlier, which means that it won't impact that tier, and we don't go out to Lincoln anymore. So when it got brought to our attention last year with the JMW buses, and because the school committee started to bus our high school students, it really became a question of, well, why aren't we? Right? So if you go to a CTE school in East Providence, we're providing busing. Why aren't we doing that for our own students here? So it just became something that we were able to do within the budget, within the buses that we had, and it was something that the bus company was able to work out.
And I think, and I appreciate that. And I think, if we can provide the busing, I think it's great. But I think to go back to what Mr. Charbonneau said earlier, things work better with communication.
100%.
So it would have been nice to be a member of the school committee and know that when someone called you or you were talking to them and they mentioned, it would have been nice that it was communicated to us.
I will take responsibility for not communicating that out. I thought we were doing something that was awesome for kids and that we were able to do it without an additional, but I agree that when the constituents call you and say, hey, my child isn't getting a bus, and you don't want to have egg on your face, and I appreciate that. And to your point, to echo Mr. Charbonneau, communication is key.
I believe that, and I will take responsibility for not communicating that out to the school committee.
Thank you.
Mr. Charbonneau.
No, I think it's a win. You're not the only one that doesn't celebrate wins. We tend not to do that very well. And I think Superintendent Royal's gonna fix that for us, but, I think it's a great use of the available resources. It's thinking about the students and putting the students first, and it comes at no cost to the district using, resources that we've already put in place. A great partnership. Nice work on this.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for, doing that organization. I know that when we shifted, several years back to provide our middle school busing and then able to make it to add the high school, it was a lot of it for that same reason that I see buses pick up a block away from my house and take kids to Davies. And I know that students in my neighborhood are getting buses to schools that are out of our district, and we weren't providing school buses to our own high school students in that same neighborhood. And I did go back and look at our policy, and it does say high school students at 1.75. It doesn't say Tolman and Shea, it says high school students. So I'm glad that we are able to make that a reality for our Pawtucket high school students.
Well, I want to give a shout out to Lynn Christino, who worked tirelessly with First Student, because without her going back and forth and saying, First Student, that doesn't make sense, we got to do this, and how about you try to incorporate the Agnes Little students into that first year. So it was really her really understanding, God bless her, Versatrans, better than certainly me.
And the only thing I want to add is that I know we have that software that can monitor
True.
the school bus times. So, I
The
hope
school
that-
bus routes.
The school bus, but it monitors the drop off at the school. So I hope that, if you are seeing a trend in lateness to schools, we know how important it is that our students are in school for breakfast, for getting there. So if we are seeing trends, I do hope, as Ms. Grant said, that is brought to the attention of the committee before we have constituents coming to us and saying, the past week, my kid has been dropped off late to Curve and McCabe. I understand things happen occasionally, but when we're seeing these trends, it is important that we know, because we are the ones who hold a contract with First Student. It's important that we are aware if they are not fulfilling their end of that contract.
True. We have a weekly, Mrs. Christino, and when I'm able, I jump on, they have a weekly meeting with First Student, and we have a sheet called First Student Bus Issues. So as the complaints come in from the school, we put it on the sheet and we address those. And First Student has been, we're so off topic, right? It's sort of off topic. First Student is very good about saying, oh, I got to fix that. And they split a bus, or they'll split a route, and they'll move it around so the children aren't late, because we're relentless when it comes to that.
Are you satisfied with the coordination in?
I'm glad that we're not paying for it, because that was kind of one of my concerns was, if we're paying for busing, why not figure that out? And, thank you to you and Lynn for making it work. And I will say that I do know that, Mrs. Christino does put the app on to see when the bus arrived, because she was monitoring it from.
She
would say,
follows-
your kid got to school at 8:05 today, and I'll make it
follows
better.
some children.
And so I appreciate you all, working to get the kids to school, but thank you.
It's our pleasure. Thank you.
Want to add that she also gives a clearance at the end of every day, every single day, to make sure every child is dropped off safely. So again, can we just give Lisa and her team a round of applause, because it is something very positive we're doing for our students in Pawtucket. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're all set with that then? We'll move on to H. Next item is virtual learning plan extension.
Hi.
Hello.
So I'm here before you this evening just to, for full transparency, and to ask for the superintendent's signature, as well as the school committee chairperson's signature. The virtual instruction day plan was approved last September by this school committee, and it was then submitted to RIDE and approved for RIDE for use. Because we had an accepted and approved virtual instruction day plan on file at RIDE this year, they're allowing us to resubmit the exact same plan under the same conditions. So I went through this plan. I changed a couple of the dates to reflect 23, 24. It is essentially the exact same plan that we are again going to resubmit. We had no school last Thursday. Had it not been September 6th, it probably would have been a really good opportunity to use a virtual instruction day. However, it was September 6th, and the basic functions of the plan weren't, just by the very timing of the year, not really up to speed yet. But we do have a plan. We reviewed it with our administrators today. We gave them some talking points to again make sure that our new teachers know how to set up a Google Classroom, how to instruct on a Google Meet, make sure their students know how to do a Google Classroom, if ever the superintendent does decide to do that. So this is the exact same virtual instruction plan, with the exception of the change of the year that was submitted and approved by this committee last year. So at the conclusion of this meeting, if it's all okay and you give the chair permission to do so, I am going to ask for his signature.
Approved by Mr. Charbonneau, second by Deputy Chair Grant. Any discussion on Mr. Charbonneau?
Do we don't do like a dry run or, in other words, we'll find out how the connectivity works and the teacher's ability to access it and the students on a day that we need it. Is there a way that we could?
That's a really good idea, Mr. Charbonneau. I think that we can probably institute something like that. I know they have to access their Google Classroom, and they do the dry run in this class with the students, particularly the young ones that might not know how to log in. But all the way up, I think that it might not be a bad idea to do something at home. So once we do the rollout of the K students and the new student at-home devices, that's something that we could probably coordinate. That's a good idea. Thank you. We are allowed 5.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Hello. Ms. Carney, Mr. Charbonneau, Ms. Doobie, Ms. Fernandez, Ms. Grant, Mr. Shalal.
Yes, thank you very much. The next item is approval to submit various selective wall replacement 60% construction document to RIDE.
Good evening once again. Before you this evening is the 60% construction documents for your approval to submit to RIDE. As you recall, the scope of the media center and through the FEI project did not call for the furring out of the walls so as to meet the project initial rendering. On June 13th, the school committee approved the award to LLB Architects to design plans to complete this project. Since that time, Colliers, the administration, John Cody, and I have reviewed the design submission, and before you this evening is the 60% construction document we would like to submit to RIDE, so this project can be completed within the required time frame of December 30th. Jared from Colliers is here to answer any questions you may have with regard to the submission, and we've worked as a team. John is also here, so we can all answer any questions that you have.
The Charbonneau, seconded by Ms. Fernandez. Okay. Discussion. Mr. Charbonneau.
What's the cost of, this was part of what? The first phase 1?
So go ahead, John. We'll let you
This
go.
is part of facility equity 1.
1, right? And then we had extra money in that bucket at the end?
Correct.
So, all right, orientate me just a minute, John. The FE1 was the media center packet, right?
Yep.
That was the multiple schools, but in quick, out quick.
Yes.
Okay. And so this is covering what was it? The conduit that you went in there and saw, the brick? Okay.
Yeah, the initial rendering that the principal had seen, it was kind of like a rendering that all principals received. And the impression was that the walls were gonna be done over it with gypsum. So when the job was going through the job, Superintendent Ramsey and myself walked through and realized that this wasn't gonna happen. Plus, we realized that there's a lot of conduit on the outside of this stuff, and by putting this in, this would make everything flush and make it look a lot more clean.
And we had additional funds as part of that phase one for the meeting. Okay.
Any other discussion? Hearing no discussion, clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Manolo. Ms. Carney. Mr. Charbonneau. Ms. Doobie. Ms. Fernandez. Ms. Grant. Mr. Shalal.
Yes. J, approval to submit Pawtucket Unified High School RIDE Stage 2 submission to RIDE.
So good evening once again. As we continue to prepare our Stage 2 submission for the Unified High School, Holly and JLA Architects have a presentation to share with you this evening. I'm going to turn the podium over to Holly.
Thank you. Well, here we are at the goal line to submit the stage 2. When Mr. Charbonneau mentioned the committee that was created, that was actually September of 2021. So now here we are, September of 23. We've had multiple meetings with leadership, stakeholders, facilities, visioning sessions. Most recently, we did have a meeting with the planning department with representatives from zoning and fire, which went very well. Reaching out to the Governor's Commission on Disabilities, the list goes on. And within this stage 2, there are 50 or so exhibits. So we're in great shape to submit on Friday. Obviously, the site control we will submit as presented. We have spoken to RIDE about that, and they're anticipating that, and we will follow up as that moves forward. So right now, I'm actually going to have Jonathan Levy do a presentation, and I apologize because a lot of this you've seen before, but we need to do this for a formality. Jonathan? Technical.
Thank you all. It's a pleasure to be here with you tonight. I'm going to keep it short. It's getting late. But I do want to share with you some of the exciting developments that have occurred since the last time we met. As Holly has just said, we're right at the goal line and ready to submit. A huge amount of work has been done. I think we're going to show you physically the massive quantity of material that is being assembled for this upcoming session. So just to remind you, so we just done the process review. We've been developing the plans. This is renderings from our last presentation. The project has not changed substantially in its appearance. The marvelous 3-story high cafeteria, learning commons. This is the site plan. Site plan has not changed. We are upgrading the Parasol Field to accommodate contemporary standards, especially for the track. We're adding a new baseball field that can fit on the site together with our compact school design. And then let me just show you a little bit about the overall school plan as it's evolved. So the school is entered at the 2nd floor level. That's because Division Street is actually 10 feet above the level of the McCoy Stadium playing field. So we actually have a 10-foot difference. We can take advantage of that by getting the kids into the middle of the school so they go up and down like a split level house rather than having to go up the full number of stories. This is the typical floor plan. And all I want to show you here is how efficient this floor plan is, because what we've done is repeated the same building modules multiple times. So that repetition will result in cost savings when we actually do the construction. These modules are then connected by two main streets that run north-south through the building. There's essentially a south campus here, which contains the auditorium and gym, and a north campus here, which contains most of the academic classrooms, although academic classrooms are sprinkled throughout the entire plan. Most importantly, CTE is dispersed throughout the entire plan, so it's not ghettoized in one area. CTE is actually parcel of education for all throughout the school, and interacts with education throughout the school. So that's the typical second floor plan. Ground floor plan, so when you enter the second floor, you have a choice to go right to the ninth grade academy, or you can go left into the main school. And then you can go downstairs to this level where we have the cafeteria and the media center with the main shared common core areas in the south campus of the gymnasium and the auditorium, which seats, Lisa, 750 students. 750. That's according to RIDE. Lisa had asked them during the last section. That is according to RIDE standards. These common core areas, importantly, are facing Division Street, so that they really state proudly that this is a community asset. This is your school. You can come and go here, as well as the students. And it has it there. They have their own parking area, and they have their own entry and lobby, and the lobby is right size so that there can be good activities, both community activities as prefaces to the auditorium and the gymnasium. Gymnasium is double size, 12,000 square feet. It has around it all the athletic equipment areas, including team areas, locker areas, and then all the ancillary athletic functions. This is the third floor plan, which is, you can see, mostly classrooms. But the one thing I just wanted to point out to you is the exciting connection between these buildings, where there are cohort common, which are 2 stories high, which are project-based collaborative learning areas. That's really the essence of 21st century education. It's not just having the kids sequestered in their individual classrooms, but having them break out, coming together across classrooms to enjoy project-based learning in these collaborative areas, which you can see sort of in green here. There are 6 of them that are sprinkled throughout the entire school and bring the school together. So now I just wanted to show you samples from the technical documents, which represents just the tip of the iceberg, because the architectural drawings that I'm showing you here just represent the layers of engineering drawings that stand behind them. There are structural drawings, there are mechanical drawings, there are electrical drawings, there are code review drawings, there are all kinds of drawings. I'm not going to share all of those with you today, but these are some of the architectural, and just shows you the depth of information that is required by this very rigorous RIDE Stage 2 process. These are enlarged portions of the building, so we have to not only make the overall floor plans, but then we have to dig into each individual portion of the building. These are some of the enlarged floor plans showing the greater detail. And then also furniture plans. So there's $11 million worth of furnishing equipment going into this school. So we have to document that as part of our RIDE Stage 2 submission. You can see the furniture plans here. Elevation drawings, drawings that cut sections through the building so that you can see what's going on with the structure and what's going on inside. And then finally, room by room developments, where we show the individual floor plans of an individual room and every surface in that room as part of the RIDE Stage 2 submission. So that gives you a peek at the really voluminous submission that's about to occur. I'm really excited by the possibility that this school will become a new beacon of hope for Pawtucket, a not just state leading, but I think a nation leading kind of facility that Pawtucket will be advancing.
All right. Motion by Mr. Charbonneau, seconded by Ms. Benolo. Discussion. Mr. Charbonneau. Mr. Levy, thank you for that, that overview. A question, there's been some conversation. In your professional opinion, is there any way that McCoy Stadium stays where it is and a unified high school get built on?
Wow, you're really putting me on the spot.
That same piece of land?
Yeah, okay, so
It can't happen.
I'm not going to state this as a professional. I'm going to state this as an individual because you're asking me to provide an opinion that I have. There's no study on my part to stand behind, but on a cursory basis, we've looked at that possibility of actually drawn the site plan of McCoy Stadium and put our plan on top of it and the fields that are necessary and the parking that is necessary. And the answer is no, it just doesn't fit. So maybe somebody else has an idea about a 10-story building that could fit there. But even with that, you're not going to have the athletic facilities that are really needed to support this school on that site and have the McCoy Stadium.
I appreciate it. One more question, if I may, Mr. Chairman, for Mr. Morris or Jared. Hi, Holly. Of the packet, the entire stage 2 submission packet that we are going to submit to RIDE on Wednesday.
Yes.
Is the care and control the only document that is going to be missing?
Well, when we get the signatures of the mayor, the superintendent, and the chair, then that would be the only one that's not complete. I mean, we are going to submit those documents for the site control exhibit, but they won't have what they need. Will there be supplemental documents?
Right, they always come back and say, we
But
need,
as far as us having a complete package, yes, we're in great shape.
but for
But-
the signatures on the change,
Exactly.
the care and control, okay.
And I had also, the last exhibit is the schedule, and I just thought perhaps if you wanted to just take a look at that, that shows the 5 years. And what would happen, you know, assuming the site control happens and we get it when we are told, then there are other triggers that should happen to keep us online with RFPs right out of the gate. So I just wanted to take note of that.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I may, and I think that's my frustration with, we're gonna submit a whole stage 2, but it's not 100% complete. And we should be within a month after that, looking for OPM services, looking for construction management at risk, looking for an architect, drawing down on that bond money because it's going to cost them money to enter into these contracts. And we're still looking for site control. I said what I said on it. It is what it is.
Any other discussion? No, hearing no discussion, clerk, hold on, yep, clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Bonolo. Yes. Ms. Carney. Yes. Mr. Charbonneau. Ms. Doobie. Yes. Ms. Fernandez. Yes. Ms. Grant. Mr. Shalal.
Yes. Okay, thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Next item, Jenks roof shift change.
Good evening. The reason I'm here tonight to speak with you is in a request of a shift change to complete the Jenks roof. There's 2 factors that the reason why I'm here. One is the vendor has lost a total of 30 days that has been confirmed by Colliers to having roof work done. They can't work when it's raining, so we have 30 days where we believe we're behind. The second one is that because of the hours that they're working, which is early morning, until the kids get here about an hour before, then coming back after school, they're working hours where you don't have sunlight. Condensation is building up. Now, the roof assembly that we have currently, what they do is they rip off the existing roof, then you have the vapor barrier. After the vapor barrier, you're going to have insulation that is mechanically fastened, and then you have a cover board. That cover board has to have adhesive between it. On one of the nights that it was kind of went down in temperature, they noticed condensation building up on these boards. You can't adhere these two boards if there's condensation. So basically the issue is adhering these cover boards to the insulation. Now we have Garland Roofing here, a representative. Garland Roofing, they manufacture the material that we have on our roof. They have somebody there every day to make sure it's installed properly. And they also the ones that give us the warranty. They had a conversation with myself and Colliers to let us know that going forward, because we're going to get colder nights and we even have some coming up at the end of this week that we're going to go below 60 degrees, this condensation could end up being a problem. It could ultimately jeopardize your warranty because they're the company that has to back this. So what we're asking for is the shift change that they come in here and they do the quiet work during the day. They'll do the ripping from early in the morning and until about 7 o'clock before the kids get here. They'll do the ripping on the roof. They'll do the insulation. They'll do the adhering of the insulation mechanically fastened. All the other quiet work would be gluing the boards together when you wouldn't have the problem with the condensation, and then putting a base sheet over that and then a cap sheet over that. And we have asked them if allowable, if the committee allows them to do this, what would be the time frame in which they would get done? They told me 30 days, which is basically the 30 days that they lost. That's determining you have good weather because they will not be there up there when it's raining. So they're telling us at least 30 days to complete this roof if we're allowed. They'll still end up doing the early shift to do the loud work so everybody won't hear it in the building, and they'll do the quiet work while we're in session.
Then Mr. Charbonneau, seconded by Ms. Doobie, discussion.
I also have a representative from the company Garland. If you have any questions about the warranty and how this may affect that, if we continue to go on the path of the hours in which we're working.
Aaron?
Thorough explanation of the process. It really helps me understand the problem we're facing. I know just saying we've gotten a lot of rain definitely would have, helped me understand that we are dealing with challenges. I think it's very important we get a roof on this building before winter sets in.
Right.
We didn't get any snow last year, but that might not be the case this year. And I think that if we're getting assurances that the work being done is not going to be disruptive to our students and our teachers, and that we are letting the principals know to 100% reach out if they're finding anything different.
Yeah, that would be the
I
approach.
think we will avoid a problem that we had a couple of years ago with work happening during the day, and we can get this done expeditiously, and our school can have a new roof.
Equipment and stuff will be out, because I know that when you're working, there's a lot of stuff out here. What will that
I can
look like
defer
during
to
the
the
day?
During the day. There'll be no motorized.
Gotcha. So no motorized equipment. It's just going to be basically wheelbarrows and things to move the insulation, the rolls. So, you'll have a little bit of vibration, but not as it is when we're tearing off the roof.
What will be around, what will they have access to, or that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, there's going to be no blocking doors or any of that stuff.
And there will be a stoppage of work during the arrival and dismissal of students. So we plan to stop when students are coming into the building and then resume once they're in, and then stop when they're leaving the building and then resume once they're out.
And no heavy machinery that we have to remove all the material from them.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Vinolo. Ms. Carney. Mr. Charbonneau. Ms. Doobie. Ms. Fernandez. Ms. Grant. Mr. Shalal.
Yes. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the Toma NIASC update. Ms. Grant asked to put this on, and Ms. Superintendent, are you taking it, Lisa? The NIASC.
I will take that once
Okay, I
we
just
hear
wanna
what
make- I didn't know.
Mrs.
Yep.
Grant has as questions.
So I asked that we get an update on this. And the reason is, it states in this document, the school will remain on warning for the standard on learning resources regarding the condition of the facility. I really understand that Tolman didn't receive a list like Shay did, but I'm wondering if anyone's reviewed the last NEASC report to see if there are items on there that were never fixed that would continue to back this statement. I am concerned if things go as planned, we're talking about at least 5 years, maybe even 6 years to get this new high school taken care of. And it's been mentioned to me by people who work at Tolman, go to school in Tolman, that the roof, they have leaks all the time, that the gym's a mess and different things. And I just want to make sure that we stay on top of this like we do Shay, because I think if we're going to have our students in there for the next 5, 6, 7 years, we really need to make sure, first of all, that we keep their accreditation. Second, I think we need to make sure they're safe. And there are a lot of things that you might not see with your eye, but that do grow in these buildings. And, you know, I think it's all very concerning. I know I wouldn't want my home, and that's kind of how I treat the buildings or look at the buildings. I wouldn't want my home to have a warning, because to me, that might not be in the best of shape. So I don't want to be sending students to school in a building that has warnings. And I think I'd really like to know, what are the conditions of the facility, and should we really be getting some lists and be working on that school the same as we are at Shay?
Okay, so that's actually a twofold question.
Mhm.
The original, because what was identified in 2012, which was the original NEASC report, may not be conditions now. So in 2012, Tolman was put on warning for academics and facilities, and they needed to address certain academic things, which you can see in the 2023 document. They were commended for achieving those academic changes. In terms of facilities, the report from 2012 talks specifically about the school's site and plant sufficiency support the delivery of curriculum, including but not limited to the unsafe aquatic gymnasium, fitness, locker rooms, which fail to meet the needs of instructional and athletic programs, lack of space for performing arts, lack of restrooms and space for children to lie down and have privacy in the nurse's office, the outdated condition of the science classrooms, labs, which lack lab benches, running water, electricity, gas, appropriate space, and conduct labs, and insufficient supplies and materials. That is not, those are not the concerns because of today's report. They specifically say in 2012 that these issues identified negatively impact the delivery of the curriculum and ensure students, they want us to ensure students have the opportunities to practice and achieve the school's 21st century learning expectations. They talk very specifically about bathroom and fixtures. So upon, as you know, we did, and they did not, on the April 24th letter that Ms. Liss has put in your packet today, they did not talk specifically about any facilities issues that stood out, but more globally, the issues that still exist. But the NEASC Commission is very much aware that we are in full gear looking for a unified high school. So they did not call out specific things. However, on July 31st of 2023, John Cody and I met with the building principal and the lead custodian to discuss concerns as they relate to the conditions today and of the building and how they link to the original document back in 2012. In the 2012 document, there was a small correlation, but not a large correlation. So as we stand today, on that July 31st meeting, 11 toilets were reported as being broken. To date, all are repaired by our internal plumbers. Stair treads, the lead custodian counted and reported back to John, who can report out about stair treads, about how many are needed. John is going to be addressing those, and he will describe his actions to address the stair tread issue. The ceiling leaks. And the roof replacement. We did have, John can speak to the company he had out. He's in the process of getting a price. He did tell me that that should be coming soon. The other concern that the Tolman administration and lead custodian indicated was the lunch tables were not conducive any longer to free-flowing lunch. And if we really think about why they didn't get lunch tables, it's because they were closing and they were getting renovated. So they weren't included when Mrs. Devine bought lunch tables for all our schools. So we asked Mr. Savastano to reach out to WB Mason, who will come and do a space audit and identify some tables. And he is still waiting for that space audit to come around and do those. Minor maintenance is all they identified as current conditions. All the egregious, if you can consider them egregious, expectations have been fixed. The biggest issue that we have right now, and the one that we want to address first, is the ceiling and the stair treads. John?
I had Garland Roofing come out to the high school with me to do a full walkthrough of the roof, similar to what I had done at Shea. What I want them to do is to take pictures, take notes, and give me a final report on the roof the way they did at Shea. What he'll probably do is what he did similar. He'll give me repairs, and then he'll give me total replacement. He's going to separate it by the low-lying roofs. He'll give me those prices. I told him to make the gable roofs separately because they're made of copper. I believe that's probably about $150 a square foot, so I wanted that to be set aside. That's basically your biggest issue when you go downstairs and we have issues with the ceilings. It's on the upper floors of Tolman. A few years back, we had issues inside the tower. We ended up gutting the tower, repairing that place there. But this roof, we're thinking is about 22 years old. It's not like the roofs we're putting on now, the Garland roofs. These are old rubber roofs. There's only one thin ply. Your insulation, you can just see that it's saturated. You go up there and you'll see waves going up in these areas. And my concern is that eventually we'll be in the same position, or I think we're close to the same position as Shea. So the report from Garland Roofing should be in hopefully by next week or the week after, which I can share with the committee. And that way we can at least get an idea of current dollars, what it would cost to replace, and what he would also say if you wanted to do selective patching of the roof. As far as the stair treads, we asked the custodian to give me the stair treads that he needed in locations. He gave me about 50. We asked for a piece off of one of the old stair treads, so my secretary, administrative assistant Leslie, she can compare that. We're going to order those, and they're going to selectively replace the stair treads for the school. What I'm hoping is next summer we have to do life safety work in the building, where we're going to have to take out all the stair enclosures in that building to comply with current code. And I'm hoping that if we have enough money left, then I'll just do all the stair treads going down on all sides. So that way they can have new stair treads plus all new enclosures.
Thank you.
One of the primary differences between the Shea roof and the Tolman roof is the Shea roof was a safety concern and required us to shut down a certain section of the building until it was repaired. There's a complete difference in this particular roof. While it does have leaks and it is in need of repair, it is not a safety concern at this time.
I want to thank you both. I think it's really important that we stay on top of these two high schools. We all know how old they are. And 5, 6, 7 years, I know it flies by, but it's a long time. And these buildings are only gonna continue to wear down, and we really do need to stay on top of them. So, I appreciate you guys looking into them. But I think we all kind of knew when Shay got the list that there were problems at Tolman. And, whether they were on a piece of paper or not, I think we need to listen to the staff that's in there every day, because, those safety issues are really important. And we need to make sure, our students and staff are safe. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? About the need, no? Okay, thank you. Next item, we're going into the discussion items. Next item is a SkyPath mobile defense platform. Mr. Charbonneau, but also Hirsch, you're on here as a speaker, but go ahead, Mr. Charbonneau.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I received an email Wednesday night, 9:00, 9:30, inviting me to a press conference Thursday on a joint partnership between SkyPath Security Mobile Defense System and the city of Pawtucket and the Pawtucket School Department. I didn't know anything about it. I reached out to the chairman. He indicated he didn't know anything about it. I guess the press conference took place at City Hall. And I'm looking to see what is SkyPath Mobile Defense Platform? Who authorized it to be rolled out to? I believe it includes the sharing of live school video, or I don't know what it includes. I guess that's my problem. So Hirsch, I'll turn it over to you. Can you explain to us what it is? Well, how about if we start at the beginning? How did we get involved in this?
So the SkyPath program is, we're looking to get a little bit more information on this. It was a program, I believe, that was being worked on before the superintendent had come on board. But we focused all of our
Wait a
attention.
minute, time out, because I don't mean to interrupt you.
Sure.
Hirsch, but I am not doing this. I am not doing this. Do not wordsmith me on this. There was a press conference that came out that said we are partners with SkyPath, a company out of East Greenwich.
Mhm.
The city of Pawtucket, the Pawtucket School Department, this ship has sailed. And you're telling me we're trying to get more information on it?
So I'm just telling you what we know about this process right now. Superintendent and I have been working to get some more information about this plan that's going to be. There's nothing yet that we've implemented into the schools. Well, we know right now that there's a no cost to it.
Well, forget about the no cost. I'm assuming if we're having a press conference at City Hall, that there's a formal agreement with this company. That there's a document, a contract. I mean, you're speaking of it like it's a multi-year agreement, that there's no cost the first year. Where's the agreement? Who signed it on behalf of the Pawtucket School Committee? And what's the cost after the freebie on the first year? Those are the only questions I want to have answers to. But yet we're involved in this. So, you know what? I can only say it so many times from this seat and implore my colleagues to start, not start. You guys have done an amazing job of doing your own research, but I'm telling you, this is not good. We cannot, there's an appointed charter review commission that comes out of nowhere looking to replace us all by the next election, by the way. We're on the 11th hour of a unified high school stage submission, and we can't get site control from the city. They're announcing a joint partnership on something that involves video footage in our schools that all of us are responsible for, and none of us here know anything about it. It's grotesque what's going on here. This is not a government of one. And until people start voicing their concerns, and you know what? I know what the opinion of some of those out there on me is, and I could care less, because our role and our responsibility is to serve the children in this community. This isn't doing it. And I don't even know that this is legal. That somebody enters into a contract on our behalf that none of us know anything about. I think it's outrageous. And you know what? This committee ought to really seriously consider scheduling a special meeting in executive session to discuss this matter further, because this is outrageous. I say everything's outrageous at every meeting. I feel like a broken record.
Ms. Doobie?
I couldn't say it more eloquently, so I will just second what my colleague has said.
Ms. Grant?
Mr. Christino, you had mentioned that, this had started prior to the superintendent starting, but who were the conversations with?
I don't know. I'm trying to be as honest as possible. I just know that there was I believe this initiative was something that the city had been working on for a little while for keeping the safety. It wasn't, so we were trying to focus on getting the schools open. When we found out about it at the time, it's nothing that, you know, we've entered into initiative that we've kind of kept it from the committee or anything else like that. I'm just trying to give you the information that I have available at this time. And
Yeah. That's okay. And then the other question I have is, I know, Drew, I saw you in all these pictures. Who sent you and why were you there?
Oh, okay. So I received an invitation. Probably a couple of days before. So I called in, first I called Hirsch and said, did you know about this invitation? He didn't know. And I said, well, I don't know really what this is all about, but I need someone to go since I hear they're talking about Pawtucket School Department. Can you just go and see what information you can collect? So that's how he got involved. I just asked, no preference prior to, and I just sent him just so I can have a set of ears there.
Why you were there?
Yeah. Because I had a prior engagement, right? I couldn't make it because of the short notice, so.
So Hershey, this mobile defense platform that we announced as being in partnership with, you're saying as the head of IT, you never had discussions with anybody at the city about this?
no, prior to hearing about it, I had not known about it.
So who signed this deal, this product is going to be rolled out in our schools? There's got to be a contract. I'm requesting the contract and who signed it from the school department and who entered into this agreement. And then I think we should seriously consider meeting it in a special meeting, in executive session, and decide if this is, we don't know anything about this, and we're exposing the students in this district, the video of the students in this district, to this platform. That's concerning, to say the least.
I found out it when, like, superintendent said she had reached out to me at the time to ask.
So just like a couple days
Yes,
before the
correct.
press conference
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
Is this being done by the police? Is this a police initiative?
I-
Trying to get.
From the information that I received, you know, regarding it, it's initiative that, I'm sorry, I don't want to say initiative, but the way the program works is in the time of crisis, kind of like when we were investigating some of the different active shooter programs out there, you know, when involvement happened, that this is kind of getting that immediate response to the school. So it's one of the things that we had looked in one of our phases of construction was like a phase 2 where you have panic buttons. So this is kind of like a different type of panic button. It's like a panic button on your phone. So I'm in the classroom, something were to happen as a teacher, I can notify, hey, I'm in need of a distress, like a 911 call, which at that point it would go to dispatch, like a dispatch where the dispatch would then come, like they normally would respond to an active shooter it, once again, kind of give you my, diagnosis of what I saw as far as the information, which then gives the active shooter more information to like be able to notice where something was happening, where police would be located within the building.
Yes.
But I just want to bring it up, raise attention. The specific to security measures, we're required by law to discuss the specific to executive session. So,
Okay, thank you.
I just want to bring that to the.
I apologize. Okay, I apologize. I asked about the police.
No. And once again, what I've said there is just what's on their site as far as information. There's nothing provided. No, I'm glad you did. Yeah.
No, thank you. Good. I was gonna ask the next step. Go ahead.
So I only know what I saw in the news as well. And I don't know if this is an amazing program that would be wonderful and help our schools be safer. And it might be, but it's really hard to implement a program in schools if you're not cooperating with the school department and involving the administrators and then involving the teachers. And I just think that any program that is not implemented in a collaborative fashion is doomed to fail. So if it is something worth considering, then I hope that we are able to, as Mr. Charbonneau said, meet an executive session, look over the contract, figure out what it means, line it up with our policies that we have on the books around camera footage sharing, because we have strong policies
I
around
know my
that.
feeling about that.
I do. We've worked very closely on them, and we have detailed policies. And so as we would with any contract that we enter into, we would make sure it lined up with our policies. We would consult the people who are going to be on the ground. We would bring in that feedback and make the best decision based on it to keep our schools and our students and our teachers faculty safe. So we look forward to learning more about it if there is something to learn as public course.
And the superintendent, I had talked about this earlier too. We had discussed the same thing about bringing it to an executive session, to give everybody an overview of what it can do when we want to find out more about it.
Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, we're gonna move on to the enrollment. Hirsch? I have you. I have you as the speaker for enrollment suspension reports. Is that correct?
Yes, anybody
Does
has
anyone have
any
any
questions?
questions
I mean, I will point out one thing about the enrollment reports. As you know, the beginning of the school year, we're always actively working on doing what we call summer withdrawals, which this is the time that schools are looking at their students, who's reported, who hasn't, and then actively marking them as withdrawals.
Yep.
Just once the numbers have settled, can we get the overall, it doesn't even need to be on this report necessarily, but I think it's important for us to see the trends of, from the last year
Oh,
to
sure.
this year, just, where are our schools going? I know we have, right now I'm looking at this and Tolman is looking like it's higher than it was last year and higher than it was the year before.
And every day it changes.
And yeah, so I don't know if this is just a snapshot and we're like, wow, that was a really big day, or if we're seeing this continual trend upward at Tolman. And on the other hand, I've noticed that the middle schools seem to have leveled out at a pretty steady number.
Yes.
So I just think that looking at those overall trends can be helpful, but there's no rush on that. I think that we have to wait till they stabilize.
I think one of the things we normally do is that would be like the October date. We usually do a year-to-year comparison. So what was it last October? What is it this October? We can do the same thing for you.
Any other discussion on enrollment? All right, hearing none. Thank you, Hirsch.
Thank you.
The next item on this agenda will be the superintendent's update. Superintendent, the floor is yours.
Yes, I just wanted to say once again, and the information that I'm about to speak about is also on our district website, is that I am hosting a family and community night And I'm inviting all the constituents, families, community members to come out and engage with myself, and probably my cabinet members as well. We plan to share information, get input from all of our families and community. I'm there to answer any questions that they may have about anything. I'm just an open book those 2 nights. The first night is September 20th from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. We will be at Varia Elementary, and then, at Winters. And then on the 27th of September, I will be at Varia Elementary from 6 to 7. We'll also be providing ice creams for our kiddos. So I'm looking forward to meeting all of the families and the community members on those evenings. As a follow-up, whatever information that I collect during those 2 events, I will be sharing with the committee. So then we can go through some of the feedback that I received and make some plans to respond to our community members. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent. Next item, school committee members update. We'll start on this side. Ms. Connie.
Thank you to everyone for opening school so smoothly. I heard nothing but positive responses from students to teachers. And I want to say I appreciate everyone coming together for the professional development, all of our new teachers. So thank you to superintendent and teachers and everyone for having another great opening.
For everyone.
Thank you so much. I don't have anything. Good night.
Ms. Manolo.
Thank you for coming back. We've missed you. And good night.
Mr. Charbonneau.
Good night.
Ms. Doobie.
I just want to echo what Ms. Carney said. I do believe this has been our smoothest opening that we've had. I mean, as far as, everything, as far as the schools, as far as facilities, you know, I know we had a lot going on over the summer. I know we have facilities in the back there. I want to, thank everyone for just, I mean, anytime I don't get a bunch of calls on the first day of school is a great day. And I had both my kids move up to a new, level. I'm a middle schooler and a high schooler now. And that went smoothly too. So it was a good beginning of the school year. Good night.
Thank you. Deputy Chair Grant.
I just want to welcome all the new staff and our new superintendent. I also want to welcome all the new teachers and all the new support staff in our schools. And I want to thank the committee and everyone for all the support with the playground. I'm so excited about it. It's so nice to drive by and so many people in the neighborhood or even other people from other neighborhoods have, when I've gone over there, have said that they're from another school. And so I look forward to working with Ms. Bonolo and hoping getting one over at Cunningham soon and over at Curtis. And, you know, hopefully we can just keep those grants coming. And again, you know, I hope you all had a nice summer. I'm not sure what season we're going into, but I hope you have a great night. Thank you.
Okay, I yield my time to the superintendent.
I just want to add that Jen had called me and asked, "Oh my God, what's going on? I haven't heard anything for the opening of school." And I just want to say this could not have happened. It's not me. It was due to my cabinet members all coming together with the central office team, providing supports to the schools. Definitely could not have happened without the school staff, teachers, and leaders. And it took a collaborative approach, a team effort to open strong. We started out communicating. I scheduled as soon as I can with the busy man, Mr. Ron Beaupre, so we can get together and let's plan out so we can have a strong opening. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you to the Pawtucket School Department family for all your hard work and dedication. We open strong and we're also going to end strong. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent. Do I have a motion for adjournment? Good night. Do I have a motion? Motion to adjourn by Ms. Bonolo, second by Ms. Doobie. All those in favor, aye. All those opposed,